The world produces enough plastic each year to build 50 pyramids of Giza. That's over 350 million tons of candy wrappers, PVC pipes, and synthetic t-shirts.
They say it's important to recycle. But why? The answer starts with a chemical reaction. Hundreds of thousands of small molecules called monomers combine to form a polymer chain. Millions of polymer chains are formed at once, creating a mass known as a resin. Resins come in different shapes and sizes. Pellets like these are what's used in plastic manufacturing. Using high heat and pressure, the pellets are melted down and injected into the mold of a small tube known as a preform. Once heated back up, air expands the tube open like a balloon in a blow mold. And as it cools down, finally starts to take shape. That's when it looks like the bottles you see in stores and vending machines. It takes a lot of work and materials to make one single bottle, which is why recycling is so important. Putting a bottle in the trash means it will likely end up in a landfill, where these useful resources won't get a chance to take on a new life.
8 million tons of plastic winds up in our oceans each year, where most of it finds its way into massive garbage patches around the world. And the biggest of them all is called the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. If you picked up each piece of plastic in the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, you'd carry away about 1.8 trillion individual pieces. That's 10 times more plastic pieces than there are stars in our Milky Way galaxy. And it would weigh a whopping 80,000 tons, equivalent to the weight of 3 Statues of Liberty. Half of the entire patch is made of plastic fishing nets, lines, and ropes, which come from intense fishing activity near the area. The other half is mostly hard plastics and films, like water bottles and plastic wrap. But don't let the name Great Pacific Garbage Patch fool you. It doesn't look like a giant mountain of trash at all. It's actually scattered over a region of ocean that's twice the size of Texas, according to some estimates. So if you wanted to pick up every piece of plastic, it would take you 121 days at a walking pace of 5 kilometers per hour to cover the entire area. Though in reality, there's no true end, since the garbage patch is constantly ebbing and flowing with the ocean currents. But let's pretend we could scoop it all up into one place. There'd be enough plastic to fill 100 Boeing 747 planes. And the patch is only getting bigger. It's actually been growing exponentially larger for nearly 70 years. Partly because once the plastic is there, it'll stick around for centuries. Those plastic fishing lines, for example, will take 600 years to break down. And even after they break down, the damage doesn't stop there. Most end up as microplastics that are too small to see with the naked eye, but can make it into the bellies of sea animals, and ultimately, the humans that will eat those animals. Worldwide, researchers have found ingested microplastics in every species of sea turtle, nearly 60% of whale species, and almost 60% of seabirds. Plus, more plastic is pouring into the world's oceans each day. In fact, experts estimate that by the year 2050, the amount of plastic in the oceans will outweigh all the world's fish.
Recycling a bottle enables these resources to keep being useful. After being put in a recycling bin, plastic bottles get hauled to a materials recovery facility, or MRF, where recyclables are dumped, put on a line, and sorted. Materials move through a disc screen that separates paper from containers. Metals are separated by magnets, and plastics are sorted by visual inspection using a combo of machines and people. Plastic is then sorted into categories by type. Once enough bottles have been accumulated, they're compacted into giant bales and sent to a plastic reclaiming plant. There, they're shredded into flakes. Some facilities use a float sink process to separate the different types of plastic. Ultimately, all the plastic is washed thoroughly to remove contaminants and prepare them for their new life. The flakes are then melted down into resin pellets to be used to make new bottles or other cool things. The simple act of recycling a bottle gives it a new life, preserves resources and energy, keeps our planet healthy, and makes a big impact.
need 3 things to complete this project: glue, a wooden frame, and a bunch of recycled bottle caps. The second step is to create your design. Your design can look like anything you want it to. Here are 3 examples. There are no limits on what you can create with all of the bottle caps. The third step is gluing your bottle caps down to the wooden board. Now we wait for it to dry. Now you can take it home and hang it on your wall or show your parents or guardian. Look at that beautiful artwork we just made. Materials you'll need for this project are bottle caps, parchment paper, an ironing board, and an iron. The first thing you want to do is you want to take your bottle caps and lay them out in the pattern that you want to flatten them in. So I am going to be making a flower. So I'm just going to arrange the bottle caps like this. I'm going to make sure it's in the position that I want. And then you're going to take your second piece of parchment paper and you're going to just fold it over. For the next part of this project, you will need the help of a parental figure or a guardian. You're going to have them turn on their iron and make sure it's ready to go. And now you're going to take your iron and put it over the bottle caps to press them down and make sure they're flat. Now the bottle caps have been flattened out, we're going to wait for them to cool and then we'll see what we made. And look at this. It's a flower. How cool is that? Well, I hope you guys had fun making this craft with me. In this video, we learned how bottle caps are recycled and how they are not recycled, which leads to plastic in our oceans, as well as 2 methods of using bottle caps to recycle to help the environment. Thank you guys so much for watching and being a part of the greater change.